Hello, everyone. I'm Drake. Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. And today we are going to be talking a little bit more about angels. Now, if you're wondering about my background, it is currently the holidays. Most of you all will see this during the holidays, but if that's later on down the time, that's why the background is what it is. We got the office set up for the holidays. Now, I have worked with a grouping of angels in the past, and I enjoyed working with them. And recently, in looking back into them, and I found out that they're specifically listed as a very specific category or grouping that I did not know the first time through when I found these angels, because I found them in a book that honestly I forgotten that they made that mention, or it didn't make the mention. I have not been able to get up and find my book, so I can't go back and say for sure. But however it happened, I was unaware of this. And because of that, I've actually been diving in and doing a little bit more research and everything. And I'm going to do a video series on them. I know many of you have been wanting me to do more angel videos, and that's exactly what I was going to do. But we want to make sure we do this video series with some context so that you know what we're talking about, you know what we're referencing, and those kinds of things. And so you're just brought up to speed if you've never heard of these angels before and you wonder where the information might be coming from, because I always encourage you all to take what you learn here and go out and add to it with your own further research. All right. So yeah. Now, I will be also adding these angels to the evocation courses Spirit Codex as I go through work with them one-on-one and learn more about them. I'm going to be doing videos of all these angels. And part of that is I'm also going to be taking that information and adding it over to the evocation course for those of you who are in the evocation course over at workingdragonmystic.com. Okay. Now, let's get into this. This grouping of angels is known as the Kabbalistic Angels, oftentimes referred to as Shemhamopharash angels. And if I said that wrong, I apologize. It is a Hebrew word, and my Hebrew sucks. We have gone through this before. Now, one of the reasons these angels are so fascinating to so many people is there are exactly 72 of these Kabbalistic angels. Pretty cool, huh? Sound familiar? Should. Because these 72 angels do, in some traditions, also have a tie or a connection to the 72 demons of the Goetia. All right, we'll get more into that. Now, the 72 angels that we're going to be talking about, they do follow Kabbalistic teachings. Their names are derived from here we go. We're going to try that word again. Give me a second. Shemhamopharash. Okay, I'll make sure that's on the screen somewhere here so you can see it spelled. And the Shemhamopharash is essentially the divine name of creation and being, and it's that divine name in Kabbalistic, it's of God, and thus all these names are pulled and generated from that larger divine name of creation kind of concept. Now, like I said, they do have an alignment there with the 72 entities of the Goetia. This is where I've not fully nailed down. I've heard it come about 50-50. Some believe these angels rule over those spirits. And then you've got people who believe these angels are allied and work as equals with those spirits. Now, having worked with angels and the Goetia for many years now, I'm going to just guess, make an assumption, educated guess, that there is more of an alignment and less of a ruling factor. I think that might be a religious context, but we have to understand Kabbalistic teachings come from a religious context. So we have to remember that when we dive into this. But from what I've personally experienced and found in my research, I'm willing to bet if there is a direct connection, they're more allied than not. I mean, you've heard me say that there is no war of heaven and hell in the context of angels and demons battling. So that's where I'm going to go with that. Now, this group of angels is broke down into a ranking system, very similar to what we see over in the Goetia. However, it is a different ranking system. The ranking system here is called choirs, and we do see this amongst different traditions that work with angels. I've seen many, many different levels of these rankings, and some people always wonder where they come from. The beauty here is we know that this ranking system comes from the Kabbalistic teachings. That's where they're getting the system from. And does that make it 100% accurate and infallible? Probably not. Let's be honest. At some point somewhere, a human had to record it, right? But from this context, we will be using this ranking system just because it's already there, it works, and it's functional. And honestly, most of your angelic lore is probably going to follow this or something very, very, very similar to it, all right? Now, starting from the highest rank to the lowest rank, some of these may surprise you, some of these may make sense. But the highest rank of angel that you will encounter in here is the seraphim angels. Below the seraphim, you have the cherubim. Below that, you have thrones. Below that, you have dominions. Below that, you have powers. Below that, you have virtues. Below that, you have principalities. Below that, you have archangels. Now, this one throws a lot of people. There's this concept that an archangel is the most powerful angel out there, and that they should be at the very tippy top of the rankings. Actually, that is more of a modern take on angelic lore, and archangels are actually pretty far down there. So far, in fact, that there's only one rank under archangel, and that is angels in general. Just general everyday angels fall under archangels. This one I have had a chat with a few archangels, mostly Michael and Raphael, but they confirm that that is actually the case, and the seraphim are way up on those lines. So that was a really cool thing to find out for me personally, and it's something I'm hoping to dive more into. If you'd like me to attempt to do more some videos on each of these ranks, let me know. I'll see what I can do, but I would encourage you to also do some of your own research and see what you can find. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about how we're going to do these videos specifically. We're going to set these up in a very similar and familiar format to how we did the Goetic videos. I think since there is a correlation between the two categories, I think that would be a good way to set the videos up. So we will be giving you the individual choir that each angel is in. We're going to give you a name. I'm going to show you, I'm going to make sure there's a pronunciation because these names are hard, okay? I've heard some people say some of the Goetic names are hard. Angelic names are very, very difficult. You will not find easy names like Uriel, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel. Those are easy names. Even Raziel is easy compared to some of these angels. So we're going to have a lot of fun me stumbling across these names. Now, they also have in their tradition ruling planet. Some of these planets aren't exactly what you're going to think of when you think of planet. And that's because, though they refer to it as a ruling planet, they are still working with that divine energy, those energy currents that supersede the rocks in the sky that we refer to as planets, okay? So remember that as we're going through these, because we will be talking about those ruling planetary energies, or at least mentioning them within the correspondences, okay? Also, part of one of the things I'm hoping to do is as I research these, I'm going to attempt to share some of my methods of research and progress of research, and how I'm putting this stuff together, at least over at the Working Dragon Mystic local supporter community. So if you're interested in seeing how I attempt to put my research together, run some tests and stuff like that, get a little behind the scenes view of that, consider jumping over to workingdragonmystic.com and click on the community tab there for our locals community, and consider supporting Working Dragon Mystic with I think it's $10 a month, get you behind supporter only content, videos and stuff over there. But I will be attempting to do those videos quite regularly. to give a nice behind the scenes on how I do research often, and perhaps maybe give a little insight in ways that you all can begin doing some of your research. Who knows? Maybe that would be a good series if I can find a nice way to do it that makes sense and that I remember to do. Maybe that'd be a good thing to later add into the YouTube channel also. But for now, it's only going to be over at Locals because I still have to, it's going to be very raw footage. So let's put it that way. All right. Of course, we're going to be talking about the areas they can help, and we will be given a sigil. Now, angelic sigils, they are across the board in traditions. If you type in one of these angels, you'll probably find anywhere from 2 to 3 sigils that would come up if you Googled them. That being said, as I've mentioned, I have worked with these angels in the past, and I don't know if it's a biased, an artistic preference. I don't know what it is, but the sigils that I originally worked with them with are the ones that seem to just draw my attention the most, and the sigils I enjoy the most. And I've had some trouble contacting other magicians and see what they use. That being said, of the magicians I've been able to talk to, about 60% use the same sigils I do. That's pretty close to 50-50. I agree. That's usually not numbers I like. I agree. But we're going to go with that set of sigils. But if you don't like the particular sigil you see here when I do the video, by all means, consider checking it and searching elsewhere on Google, just using the name of the entity. That's always a great way to find a sigil and test it for yourself. Okay, now, next following up, there's always, in the other videos, we have incantations or uns, and y'all love the uns. Do these angels have uns? Yes and no. So uns are a form of incantation with a fancy name. That's okay, that's what they are. There is a traditional incantation style that is actually very specific to these angels. And I've had to dust off some of my older stuff around here. I'm not even kidding either. I still actually have this old thing from back in the day. This is actually when I was teaching in the church. This is my Bibles. And I've had to dust that off because for incantations, these angels use verses from Psalms, okay? That is actually a very traditional way it's been done. There's actually entire groupings of magics, even outside the church and outside the Kabbalah, that pulls from Psalms and other books like that for incantations. At this point in time, I've not got any good incantations that I have found that work well outside of Psalms. So when we get to the incantation side of these videos, I will be giving the Psalm in English for these angels that is used as their incantation. Now, I do know that a lot of people's like, well, can I write my own? Actually, you can. I've done that myself, and I have gotten good results with that. I really have. But if you're someone who wants that kind of official incantation, just like people always want, it's like, what's the un? What un do I use? It will be a psalm, and we will be given it. I plan to give the actual passage where it's found, so you can look it up on the internet. Of course, there's going to be hundreds of translations out there. All the different translations will work. I have tested that. But I am giving them English. Now, I will know some people out there is going to say traditionally they have to be said in Hebrew. I have done them in Hebrew. I've done them in English, and I've got equal results both ways. Now, if someone is truly, truly fluent and speaks Hebrew very well, would that be a difference? I don't know. I don't speak Hebrew well, so that's not really one I can directly test. And the people I know who speaks really good Hebrew, they don't do magic, so I'm kind of in a pickle on that one. But I can easily say that it'll work both ways. So we will be giving the English on that. All right. And of course, we'll be talking during the videos about my experience with the individual angels. But since this is a summary, these angels, one of the things that fascinated with me when I found this original collective group of angels was these were names that I had never heard. Traditionally, growing up in the church and even taking classes and doing some of my own studies, I had never crossed these angels and come across them and found them. Though I am seeing them pop up more. Some people refer to them as the Shemyaza angels. Though part of me is trying to figure out, because the wording's so different, I'm wondering if that's a different group of Shem angels other than the Shem HaMorpharash angels. Um, I'm still not fully clear on that. I have heard these referenced as that, though, so make that note, if you will. You need some coffee. So I dove into them because it's different. It was something different. It wasn't the traditional angels that I was used to when I left the church. And I like to see different sides of everything. And I enjoyed working with them, and I still hold to my thing that angels definitely, for the most part, they're a bit more steady and orderly and smoother to work with, and than the bumps and speed and the rush of what most people might think of demonic. And that's a general. Remember that, not always. But it was one of those things where I worked with them early on in my career. Mostly before Dragon Magic, a little bit after Dragon Magic. And then, of course, when Dragon Magic really started hitting on all cylinders for me, and I realized I had found something that I truly adored, I spent less time working with these. But that being said, when it came to the fact that I knew I wanted to do more entities, I wanted to get more diverse on the channel, I wanted to give the audience and you all, my viewers and supporters, more of what you've been asking for. Angels is one of those things that you all have constantly been asking for, to get more representation on this channel. And as a guy who honestly believes that we can all get along and generally have a true conversation without hating on each other for having a difference in religions, I have to agree that would be a great way to do it, because you don't have to be religious to work with angels. Just like you can be religious and work with the Goetia. I know many people who do it. And I'm really excited about this. But I wanted to go ahead and do a video to just give you an idea of who these angels are. They are from the Kabbalah, and they are from that tradition. And weirdly, they seem to be directly built to follow right along with the Goetia. My apologies. I'm a little tongue-tied today. Now, some of you may be wondering, Drake, what was the book where you first saw them? Truth be told, I don't remember the book where I first saw them. It was an old, tattered library book. And that research led me to another book, which I did eventually get a hold of, and it is referred to as the 72 Angels of Magick. Many of you may actually know that book. It's one that I've recommended in the past. I enjoy it. You can look it up. I may even try to drop a link to it below here. That book follows its own very specific method, tradition. It has its own rituals involved that is specifically unique to that book, okay? So these days, all I use is like the bullet points in the back. Even the sigils and the method and how they use those sigils differs from everything else I've encountered. So, I mean, it's a good book, but that is the book where I originally encountered them. Would I still recommend it as a whole? Probably. I think it's very beginner friendly. They do a good job of explaining it, but it's also one of those things where, at least for me, it left me wanting it. There was something missing from it. I don't know. And I've gotten better results using more traditional evocation methods than I got with that. Other people will disagree with me, and that's fine, because that's the beauty of having multiple methods to do something as a magician. So if you're wanting to check out that book, by all means, feel free. I feel they did a great job with it. And if it's that, I think it's a great way to get started working with angels. That way you could have that book and maybe follow along, add what you learned from this particular series to that book. Or you can just watch the series and join that. And of course, consider the evocation course. Again, like I said, go to workingdragonmystic.com, click the online courses. The evocation course is up And as this research unfolds, it will be added to the Spirit Codex, which there's already over 100 entities in that Spirit Codex, but this will be put in there as well. All right, everyone. I hope you are looking forward to this series as much as I am. I will try to have the first one out before the first of the year or shortly after. And yeah, happy holidays, everyone. Hope you enjoy whatever you do for the holidays, or at least have a good time. Stay safe out there. I know the roads get crazy. I know shopping can get crazy. Remember, ultimately, this time of year is about peace, calm, caring, love, joy, goodwill toward all. So I would challenge us all just to do something every day to try and make someone else happy. Maybe brighten their day, make them smile, something simple, something easy. A little bit every day from every person goes a long way, really does. All right, everybody, take care. I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. See you next time. Bye-bye.